Welcome to the eLogic Modern Selling for Manufacturing series. In this video, I'm going to focus on how the sales manager can more effectively analyze the sales pipeline. I'll look at sales performance year to date. I'm going to analyze the current pipeline, look for areas of risk that we need to identify and address. And then finally, I'm going to do a what-if analysis just to ensure we have a sufficient pipeline to finish out the year. So let's go back into Advantage and have a look. So we're logged into Advantage, and as the sales manager, I want to do some analysis on the pipeline here before our next sales meeting. So I'm going to open up our pipeline analysis dashboard and have a look at how we're doing. Now we've sold $18.4 million year to date on a goal of 23.5. So we have a gap of about $5 million here to close in Q4. In our pipeline currently, we have $16.8 million. And we're running an AI model against that pipeline and looking at all of our historical data and our historical close rates and the reps and how they've performed. And it's serving up to me some really interesting insights. So the AI model is saying that of that 16.8 million, we're likely to close about 9.2 million, which would put us in really good shape here for the year since our gap is only 5.1. But it's also identifying that $8.7 million of that pipeline is at risk for various reasons. And that's concerning for me. So I want to dig into that a little bit more. Now, when I look at the pipeline holistically, I can pivot by sales territory. I can look at the forecast based on what our reps are predicting versus what the AI model is predicting for each month. I can see where the actual risk is percentage-wise in our pipeline. I can come down here and pivot actually by seller, which is interesting for me because one of the things I want to do is go through each one of these pipeline reviews with my sales team. So I'm going to start here with Mark, and I can see that he's actually got a fair bit of business here that's scheduled to close here in Q4. So this is fantastic, but I see that he's actually got about $1 million at risk in his pipeline. So I want to understand that better. And in fact, here over on the right, I can actually see those deals served up to me. So I noticed that the North Complex expansion deal he's been working on here for some time still shows as a risky deal. So him and I have to have a further conversation on that to really explore how we can make that deal come across the goal line. So next I want to use the revenue tree to show me how the team is actually working on the deals they're working on. I can look at our entire pipeline here across year, across sales rep. And one of the things, again, that I want to look at is how spread thin is Mark actually. And he's working on a lot of different deals across a lot of different customers. And in fact, I can even dig in here a little bit more to understand. He's mostly focusing on, of course, capital sales, which is good. But I also want him to put some emphasis on some aftermarket business as well as he's going into these various accounts. So I want to understand where he's only just focusing on capital deals versus where he's got a blend of the two. And it looks like he's mostly focusing on capital. So I'm going to bring that up on our next one-on-one review. Next, I want to understand what are the key influences on our pipeline. We have a variety of ways that we're selling, of course, and in particular, we're focusing on two types of sales, a very large capital equipment sale, longer sales cycle, and then very fast turnaround aftermarket parts sales. Now, I'm noticing that actually our capital business is doing from a close rate much better than our aftermarket business. So it's something I'm going to bring up with the team to understand why is it that we're not winning enough in the aftermarket and drill into that a little bit more. I can also see that Ulrich is still our highest performing sales rep with respect to close rates. And as I look across the board on the team, this might be an opportunity for us to have a discussion around some of the best practices that Ulrich is using that are helping him to drive a higher close rate. Now I can pivot here across different reps to see what's most influencing their particular pipelines. And so that gives me some insight individually as I drill into this. And then finally, I can actually pivot on the territory themselves and look at this. And something that I want to understand more is that as we look at our pipeline, it's looking pretty healthy in September. But as we get further and further out in December, we actually have more risk in our pipeline than we have healthy deals here. So this is something that I need to understand with the team. What is it that we can do to make our Decembers have a strong close as it looks like we're going to have in September? And finally, I want to do a what-if analysis on our pipeline. Now, so far, year to date, we have been closing at a rate of 68%, and that's our baseline. So with a pipeline of 17 million, we're actually going to come in 6 million above goal, which would be fantastic. Now, what I am seeing, though, is that our AI model that's running against our pipeline is actually recommending or suggesting that our our close rates are going to go down to 55%. So even with that $17 million in pipeline, we're still going to come in $4 million above goal. So still in good shape here. What I want to make sure that we have, though, is enough in the pipeline here in case we have another catastrophic event. So let's say, for example, our pipeline drops right out. We lose 25% of our pipeline and our win rates go down to 50%. What does our year look like here? How are we going to end? And as I do that what if analysis, I can see that even in that circumstance, we will still end up $1 million above our goal. So with that, I want to do a quick wrap up. Thank you for watching this brief overview of how a sales manager can more effectively analyze the pipeline. If you want to learn more about our Advantage for Manufacturing solution, please go to eLogic.com/advantage. Thank you.